So, we are all familiar with Dogecoin, the biggest meme coin in the world that pumped to $94 billion market cap in the peak of the cycle in 2021. And it still sits, guys, to this day at a $33 billion market cap and is the biggest meme coin ever in the history of the universe. So when something comes across my desk that says the co-creator of Doge just launched a new coin called Goat. And not only did they launch it, but it looks very similar. Instead of a dog, instead of a Shiba, it's a goat with a G instead of a D. It hit $15 million market cap overnight. Absolutely exploded. Are you buying the Goat is the question. And things get even more spicier, more heated, more FOMO flooding through my veins when I see someone like James Wynn. If you don't know who James Wynn is, I will read his bio right here. The first person to do $1 billion long on Bitcoin, a very wealthy man. On chain, he publicly called Pepe at a $600,000 market cap and got a 20,000x on it. In fact, this is him calling Pepe right here. If we have a look at the date, April 17th, 2023, and it got 2.2 million views on Twitter. He says it was a globally recognized meme, passionate and fun community. Dog tokens are beyond boring. Time for a frog token, I believe. Pepe's a frog. Elon Musk loves Pepe. Bull run is on the horizon. He's calling 1,000x at the point of when he made this post. It was at a 4.2 mil market cap. He's calling 1,000x to a $4.2 billion market cap. If you guys know the story of Pepe, it hit a $10 billion market cap and made James Wynn, I actually don't know how much, but I'm thinking hundreds of millions of dollars. So when I go to my X feed and I see James Wynn yesterday saying there's a new call, a new meme coin. Once again, he predicted 1,000x, even more, because he actually called it at a 600k market cap. He says a 20,000x he got on that. But he is putting his weight behind and making his next prediction on this token, Goat. Current market cap, 2.3 mil. Projected market cap, billions. Like literally in the territory of Dogecoin. Is this the next Dogecoin? Narrative is there, created by the co-founder of Dogecoin. The demand is there, and the trenches are thirsty for $1 billion runner. It's been an extremely long time since the trenches have seen $1 billion runner. He says, Doge plus Goat equals a better world, from the co-founder of Doge. Now, this line is really important, and we're going to come back to it. He says, I sit on the timeline, I aped, not financial advice, etc., etc. But he's throwing his weight and his prediction and his money behind Goat. Bonker says, RIP to those who sold Goat in this correction. See you at a $100 million market cap in the next 24 hours. And if we go over to Goatcoin's Twitter, it's Goatcoin on Sol _. And they say once again this important line, which I'll tell you about in just a second. Doge plus Goat equals a better world. And then link the contract address. Only got 900 followers. That's how early we are in something like this. I'm not saying to buy. I'll tell you my opinion at the end, but I want to show you all the facts so you can decide if you want to buy or sell something. But what's actually more important and why I'm making this video is the lesson it's going to teach, which less fun, less money in the short term at least, but it's really important. So I'm going to share that with you as well. Of course, followed by James Wynn himself. Let's have a look at the token. Currently at the time of recording, a $13.3 million market cap, a very healthy looking chart. I mean, it had a massive wick up. Remember, they said it went to 15 mil overnight. That's the night of the launch up here to 15 mil. Strong pullback to its 4.44 million, a nice number there. And then up to 15 mil. Back down to 6 mil as the early people are taking their profit, all the way back up to 17 mil earlier today, and now sitting at that $13.1 million level, but an up and to the right sort of graph. So let me get into the Goatcoin story, why it's running right now, and do we think it could actually be the next Dogecoin or not? Is it all a sham? Well, once again, the narrative behind this token, the thing that's driving it, and the start of our lesson here, is that the narrative is that the co-creator of Dogecoin, the biggest meme coin in the world, launched a new coin and it's called Goatcoin. If you come over to their website, it's plastered all over their website, which this was actually created by a fan. They say, history in the making. It's actually a really nice looking website. In 2014, Dogecoin co-creator Jackson was his name, or still is his name, had one vision. Doge plus Goat equals a better world. Today, that prophecy comes to life, and it's currently the #1 Goat token, which is kind of funny. And the first thing we want to do is go have a look at that post, this line right here, because everyone is saying it. Doge plus Goat equals a better world. That's literally the narrative behind this. That's what the co-creator had written. And you come over to his GitHub. I had to find the Wayback Machine to get this, but this was posted by Jackson, who is indeed, let's have a look, Jackson Palmer here, a co-creator of Dogecoin. The other co-creator, which is way more well known, is Shibatoshi Nakamoto, Billy M2K, with 2.2 mil followers. You can see Jackson literally has 0 followers here, but he was the less known co-creator of Dogecoin who posted this post. Doge for Goat, Doge plus Goat equals a better world. And Goatcoin have posted about that. They say this is literally history in the making. In 2014, Dogecoin co-creator Jackson, who built Doge alongside Billy M2K, published a GitHub repository with a single vision. Doge plus Goat equals a better world. This was not a throwaway meme. It was the only other animal coin concept. Animal coin concept. Literally a idea for a meme coin with an animal behind it. And once again, it was the concept that was conceived by one of the original creators of Doge, is this narrative that we're talking about right here. Today, that vision comes to life. Goat/Goatcoin, the beta to Doge, and the next chapter in meme coin history. They say the beta Doge. Some people are thinking this will be even bigger than Doge. Now that I think we can all recognize is kind of silly, and I'll show you how far that silliness extends in just a second. Doge plus Goat is more than a phrase. It's a prophecy. It's a movement. It's the evolution of culture. Now, this was Jackson Palmer's, I believe this is also his GitHub profile. I'm actually not that strong on GitHub and the higher tech side of things. I like the social side of things a bit more, but you can see Doge for Goat, Doge plus Goat equals a better world is actually written by the co-founder of Doge. However, let's cut the crap here and boil this down to what is actually going on, because you have the narrative out there that the co-creator of Doge launched this coin. That's not true. This is actually a lie from a spot trading app. I think they just misinformed and thought that they actually, like even this guy, the co-creator really launched this. That is like the rumor that is out there, that this was actually created by the co-creator of Doge. However, when you read Goatcoin, you'll see that it's not actually created or even endorsed by the co-founders of Doge. But they're saying, let's have a look at these words very carefully. It was an animal coin that was conceived by the co-founder, and today it comes to life, not thanks to the co-founder, but thanks to the dev who decided to launch this coin and use the narrative of the original creator of Dogecoin. Now, to poke another hole, because there is no Dogecoin founder behind this coin. In fact, I'm going to show you the Dogecoin founder's comment. I can show you that now, actually would make probably the most sense. This is Shibatoshi Nakamoto, who is Billy M2K, the well-known co-founder, who on James Wynn's post about Goatcoin got asked, are you saying that you endorse this coin? And he says, I don't endorse any particular token. People are free to gamble on anything they want. I'm just saying that people have made a lot of money using my name for their advertising without my involvement. So it's preferable when there's a benefit rather than just being used again. He feels like he's just getting used to try and sell other people's tokens, and he's not behind this coin, and he's not behind any other coin. And of course, his co-founder is also not behind that coin. Not only that, but you can see here, apparently this was an animal coin concept, when in reality it also was not an animal coin concept. I go back to Doge for Goat back in 2014, like a long time ago. This is some OG stuff back here. Back when Dogecoin, you have to realize, 2014, it didn't have any pool. It became the biggest meme coin in the world, and now obviously anything that Dogecoin is behind, or anything that Doge community gets behind, or anything that has a narrative tied to Dogecoin like Goat, does extremely well because it became the biggest meme. But you have to realize, guys, for 9 years it was nothing, and it was trying to climb its way up doing marketing. And in fact, Doge for Goat was actually trying to get Doge payments onto a game on Steam called Goat Simulator. It says, we're the belief that Dogecoin and Goat Simulator are match made in heaven. So we are kindly asking the game developers of Goat Simulator to accept payments in Doge when ordering this fantastic piece of gaming history. This was the website that they created for that. And this was Goat Simulator back then, which hilariously is still a game you can buy, but you could buy it for $10 back in 2014. And they accepted Amazon payments and PayPal payments, but they did not, of course, accept Doge. It was a petition to try and get Goat Simulator, this game here on Steam from 2014, to accept Doge payments back when Doge had no pool or anything in the game. And DVD Screener says, it turns out Doge for Goat repo in Jackson was not for a coin, but for a Goat Simulator. You literally can't make this thing up. And of course, the founders do not endorse it. But as you can see, the market cap is still climbing even while we record this video. We've had 41 $1 million of volume, and this Goatcoin is getting a lot of attention. So much attention that's actually starting to spawn some derivative tokens, if I can find them down here, like Bullcoin here with a bull with a B in it, and this is becoming the meta at the moment. Whether this coin does have the backing of the founders of Doge, or whether it was an idea for a coin or not a goat simulator originally, doesn't really matter. What matters is the narrative of a token, because if you were early enough in this, you could literally have made, like James Wynn got in at $2 million and now he's 7x his money. If he's moved with size, he could make 7 figures on a token like this. And it's because social arbitrage trading in crypto is literally the only game in town. So many people out there try to trade technical analysis, literally drawing lines on these charts for things that only move when narratives get out into the world. They only move when KOLs and influencers are pumping their own bag. Or you have fundamental analysis people who are literally like, oh, this is worth this much because of Dogecoin's worth that much. It's like, well, that's not fundamentals. There's nothing backing any of these meme coins. Like, whatever they're worth is just what people are going to buy for them. The only thing that pumps tokens, the only thing that moves market caps is social arbitrage trading in the meme coin world. And if you don't know what that is exactly, it's an investment strategy, a modern investment strategy, literally over the last 5 to 10 years, where technical analysis and fundamental analysis have been around for hundreds of years, that uses social trends and public sentiment as a source of market insight. Instead of analyzing financial statements or price charts, social arbitrage trader monitors social media chatter and online consumer behavior or cultural trends to discover shifts that could impact stock or crypto prices. Just like new narratives, like the founder of Dogecoin launched a token. Let me show you another example back from 2021 that makes this really obvious. Metaverse tokens were the hype because there was a rumor that the metaverse was coming, that Oculus was going to have us all living in our goggles. And Decentraland, which was one of the top metaverses back then, pumped up to like $1.50 from literally the quarters of a cent. It held this point for a while until that narrative got out even further when Meta, or Facebook, changed its name to Meta in October of 2021, and then this thing went mainstream and absolutely exploded. And how early you were to that narrative dictated how much money you're going to make. Just like, when did you hear that the co-founder of Dogecoin launched this token? If you were early enough and you heard it before it even graduated on Pump Fund, you would be very, very wealthy. And if you're hearing it just now, this might keep going up if you're still ahead of the news cycle for a lot of other people. But depending on where we are in the cycle and also the social sentiment, you might be the last person to hear and therefore get dumped on as soon as you buy into it. Which is why, in order to move up the news cycle, you need better sources of information. For example, inside of our inner circle, our community found this at a $1 million market cap, which now ran on to $17 million, $15 million literally overnight, a nice 15x. And when you're in communities like our inner circle, because there's literally thousands of us all out there researching charts, you're going to find opportunities and narratives way before you're going to find them publicly on social media. You can see we had Cheyenne at a 9x. We recently had Doge at a 76.2x. We had Farcoin at an 81.6x. We had Baby Grok at a 45.7x, front-running Elon's massive KOL influence before it ran up to a crazy price. Or even Boss Token front-running the mainstream and getting a 73.5x return. Now, if you want to join our inner circle, the link's in the description below. We would love to see you in there. The last thing I want to say on narratives, because of Goatcoin and the throwbacks to 2014 doing really well, there's another token that has an interesting narrative as well that has started to run, and it's called Goatcoin. And this is an interesting one because this is back from 2014, these screenshots. Kobe in 2014, a Max Kaiser from 2014, talking about Goatcoin. Now, this is actually the first I've heard of Goatcoin, which is obviously a cat coin. You can see this little logo right here. But these are all posts from, some of them from big crypto influencers these days, who were talking about that 8 years ago. And apparently it was an old school rival to Dogecoin, which is pretty fascinating if you ask me, because Dogecoin was actually a fork of Litecoin, because back then you couldn't launch on ETH or Solana because these blockchains weren't around. So the founders, as you now know who they are, forked Litecoin and made a Dogecoin. And I believe Goatcoin must have been a fork of Doge, or must have been an early fork of Litecoin, or maybe even Bitcoin, in order to exist. However, that blockchain, because they were all proof of work back then, did not make it. However, there is a new Goatcoin because the internet is made of cats. Now the blockchain is too. It's called Meow. And I'm not personally invested in this, but I just thought this was interesting for you to know which narratives are coming up. Because I remember in the NFT phase, all the old school throwback, like what was the earliest NFT, they're the ones that ran. When you had CryptoPunks, which was like, oh, this is the first ever NFT. And then everyone realized that there wasn't the first ever NFT. And you had NFT archaeologists literally going back onto the blockchain. If you could find an NFT project that was before CryptoPunks, it would soar tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars if you were there before everyone else. And so this is what is happening now in the meme coin world, where the meta has become what were the original tokens and how can we recreate them on Solana or Pump Fund? Because obviously even Goatcoin was just relaunched by someone random, a new dev on Pump Fund. But this is Meow, which was sitting literally at like a 20,000 market cap, launched back in July, and it had a massive candle recently based on this meta of what are the throwback tokens, peaking at a 3.79 mil market cap, currently sitting at a $2.4 million market cap. Again, if you want to get ahead on any of these narratives and find them before the mainstream, click the link in the description below and come and join us on Inner Circle. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.